Where the fuck is the audio?
I don't know.
What? Hold on, I'll fill in for. Star Wars, baby. Rogue One, people, Andor, bitch. There you go. Episode 1 review. Leading edge style. There you go, baby. That's how you do it.
That was awesome.
That's called some on the fly, get it down, grind it out, baby. You know what I mean? Nothing like when you make an intro for the show, for the episode and whatnot. There's no audio to it. Whatnot, you know, I guess God damn it, that fucking weed I smoked before I made it. I'm telling you. There you go, folks. There's a little advisement for you content creators out there from the bleeding edge. Don't get really stoned and start drinking alcohol and shit before you do your prep time for shows. Does not work out.
I would
DD Mega Doo Doo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's DD Mega Doo Doo.
Don't feel like that afterward. You know what I mean? Like me right now, having to fucking do that stupid shit I just did before the show. Anyways, folks, I don't have a cool MCU like intro to play or anything like that, whatnot, like we do for our MCU Marvel stuff or whatnot. I guess maybe I could get like I don't even know if I could play the Andor intro. We probably would get copyrighted, right, Cyber?
I mean, with anything, it can be copyrighted, considered. But I mean, if it's public domain, if you go and get it off of YouTube or something like that, and it's only a few seconds, not even a minute long, you're fine.
Yeah, you're right. If I probably only down to like 40 seconds or 35 seconds, it would probably be all right. Yeah. All right. Anyways, folks, we're here. Yes, we're late to the party. I'm not even sure how far into the season Andor is. I know it's not over yet. Does anybody, Cyber, Stacey, do you know where Andor actually is in real time right now?
I think it's like episode 6 or 7.
Okay.
Something like that. I know it goes till November. It goes into November. It won't end until November or something.
Okay. So yeah, it's got 3 or 4 episodes left.
Yeah.
So either way, folks, we're here to do Andor. We're late to the party, but we're doing it. We're dedicated. We're not massive Star Wars geeks over here at the Bleeding Edge, me and Cyber. Stacey, I don't think you're not a big Star Wars geek, right?
I am. I go way back to like Luke Skywalker. I even had a crush on Luke Skywalker. So yeah.
Well, hey, that's better to have a crush on Luke Skywalker than to have a crush on Tyrone Bacon. You know what I'm saying? Chewbacca? No, I mean, Chewbacca, he's a cool dude, man. But I can tell you right now, if Chewbacca was in Andor, that would be tight. Either way, though, we at the MCU's Bleeding Edge, as we continue to evolve and expand across the fandoms, are here to cover Andor episode 1. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead and moderate this one. Cyber, hopefully, will probably tackle episode 2. We're here with Stacey. Stacey is the host of Some Real Shit podcast. She's a friend of the Bleeding Edge, a friend of mine, friend of Cyber's. And Stacey, thank you. Welcome back to the Bleeding Edge. It's good to have you back.
Thank you. Sorry, I got my little avatar up. It's nighttime for me.
Hey, that's okay. Me and Cyber, we believe you. We have plenty of guests that go straight audio. That's a regular thing for us. We're very much used to it.
Okay.
And to reiterate about Andor, it's on its 8th episode. It's on its 8th episode, and it goes till November 23rd. So we still have 4 other episodes to go before the series ends.
Well, that's great.
Nice.
Total of 12 episodes.
Hey, maybe if we grind it out, maybe we can actually catch up by the finale and be in real time. That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of cheated. I'm on episode 3 right now.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Cheating's okay as long as it's not in your marriage. That's called infidelity, folks. It's not good. You know what I'm saying? It can cause some sadness, and depending on the person.
Like Tom Brady.
I didn't enjoy it in my marriage. I can tell you right now. It was not a positive thing for me when I found out about it. I was not pleased. That's okay though. Things happen, right? You can't blame a chick for smashing a dude here and there. It's gonna happen. There you go. Either way, Cyber. Before I play the Andor trailers, would you mind at all? Maybe just really quick, throwing out some info about Rogue One. In terms of kind of like, that being that we're going to be leading up to through these 2 seasons of Andor.
Okay. So, so Rogue One came out a few years back now, and is basically it's a prequel to Episode 4 of the Star Wars franchise. So New Hope, and basically this is the strategy that the rebels put together to get the blueprints for the first Death Star that we see in the very first Star Wars film, or as it's known now as Episode 4. And basically, this is like that rogue mission, hence why it's called Rogue One. And it's basically about their mission to get those battle plans so that they can use that in New Hope to destroy the first Death Star. And that's pretty much what it's about. The character in Andor, played here, is actually one of the characters that's in that film that ends up being an integral part of that mission in that film. Really fantastic film. I actually saw it twice in theaters. I thought it was one of the better Star Wars films in the last 20 years.
Yes, I would agree. I don't know how you felt about it, Stacey, but I actually thought that Rogue One was excellent.
No, I liked Rogue One. It really tells. I thought it was just cool how it tells a story from another standpoint, and I noticed that's how they have been doing with Star Wars, is giving perspectives from each. We grew up with the basic ones, but now we're seeing it from this standpoint. We're seeing it from when Leia was watching the planet blow up. Now we're seeing it from the other end of it, when the people are on the planet and they're about to blow up. So yeah, it's very intriguing. I liked it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. I think that intrigue is a really great term to describe what I got sort of out of Rogue One, and what I think I got kind of in a way, or like see coming in Episode 1 of Andor, based off of it, as far as projecting out into the series, since I've only seen Episode 1. As far as I've gone. I will say I think that you guys would all agree that Episode 1 is really suppositional. I mean, although we know the characters, right, and they're relying on the fact that you've seen Rogue One when you come into the first episode, they are expecting that. Cassian is and everything and whatnot, right? Obviously, he's like the protagonist. I mean, at that point, there's not a lot of action, basically. Is my point. You know what I mean? It's not quite like House of the Dragon type energy. It's more upbeat than that. But at the same time, I think it's like any episode or intro to any kind of series. It's always kind of a build up in the first couple episodes. I think you'd agree with me, right, Cyber?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, at that point, as far as Episode 1 goes, I believe it was 43 minutes long, altogether with the credits. I think watch time, it was maybe like 39 or 40, and it was very compact. It was very tight. It flowed very well. It is, of course, a prequel to Rogue One. By the end of the second season, if I understand, it will draw right into Rogue One. Like, that's essentially where they'll end up at. And basically, the opening scene, which is very dark, all of it, focuses on Cassian and essentially him walking around in the rain, with like a hood over his head and whatnot and everything, and like a heavy coat, looking just basically like Cassian in Rogue One, essentially, with his beard and everything and whatnot. And he goes to this, I guess what you want to call, what do they call bars, cantinas or whatever you want to call them, or in Star Wars lore.
Yeah, cantina.
And so he's basically there to get information. He talks to the bartender, this attractive young woman, asking her basically about a girl from Canary, and there's some bullshit with some guards. What I'm assuming they're essentially employees of the Empire, right, Cyber?
The who? I'm sorry.
Guards that they run into, that he runs into, right?
Yes. Yeah. They work for the Empire.
Yeah, they do. So they're basically like, they're almost like corporate subsidiary, like basically like security guards and whatnot, like low level employees, based off of the Empire. This is an Empire controlled planet. And essentially there's some back and forth with them. They're kind of like arrogant and rude and shit and everything, and kind of like talking some smack to Cassian, and the bartender essentially, explains to him, or asks him, well, who are you? What are you asking me about this for, whatnot, and everything. He says, I'm looking for my sister. The bartender tells him essentially that there was a girl. She didn't know what her name was. Nobody has names here. And then basically, she left, she disappeared, and warns him to leave, right? Because I think that she sees obviously that the guards, there's going to be a problem there. It's very clear right off the bat that like they're there nefariously in a way, almost, like they see Cassian as like a mark. And at that point, he's followed by them immediately upon like leaving the bar. And basically they just kind of like, shake him down, essentially like, some straight up unethical, like, shakedown type jazz. They're clearly like, trying to like, get a vibe out of him and threatening him. And at that point, he sort of feigns giving up and, offers 300 credits that are in his pocket. When they try to extract it physically, he basically kicks their asses. Steals their blaster. What was that? That was weird. Steals their blaster. I don't know what that was. It kind of like slid into my screen real quick. He grabs one of the blasters. He kind of errantly, like accidentally, actually, shoots one of the guards to death, not realizing it at first. I don't think he meant to do it. And kind of holds the other one at gunpoint. Tells him to rouse his buddy up. Guard tells him the guy's dead. Pleads for his life and whatnot. He's like, oh, we'll make up a story. I'll bring you in. I'll tell him that, it was an accident. He kills that guy too. He has to. Cassian does. You know what I'm saying? At that point, he has to. He pretty much has no choice. He knows he's going to be screwed no matter what. Like, I wouldn't believe that guy either in that situation. So at that point, Cassian kills the other guard, and he basically bounces. He jumps in his ship. He takes off. At that point, from there, Stacy, before we essentially, we get into, him going to barracks and, and everything, and, him talking to B2, EMO and all that. What did you think of that intro scene and whatnot and everything? How did you feel it worked with the episode? Or did you think it worked for the episode?
Yeah, I think it entwines with the fact that it keeps doing the flashback of when he was a kid and his sister, leading up to how he ended up, on this journey looking for his sister. I thought it was a brothel. That was my understanding of.
You're right. Yeah, I think it was a brothel.
Yeah.
It was like a brothel / bar. I've been to those before.
Yeah, and it starts off the plot line. Like, you really see, like, after this, he's really gotta like get out of town. He's really over this whole place. Anyways, it seems like he just kind of burnt out from his interaction with everyone, so to speak. So I mean, I really think it just opens up like the journey. It explains things and it opens up the journey, and it's just like a typical pilot for me. I mean, it seems like what most Star Wars movies are. Well, there's an issue always with the the Empire, and so they always need the hero, and we're on a ship to go find some, and save the day. So yeah.
I think they should have changed it and actually had him come into the bar and ask that chick if she had met the one person that thought the She-Hulk finale was good. You know what I'm saying? Have you met the one chick that saw the fucking She-Hulk finale and thought it was good? I'm looking for her. What do you think? What do you think, Stacey?
Yeah, the finale to me was kind of like they ran out of ideas. I'll say that much.
Hey, you know what? That's very fair of you. Cyber, my friend, what is your take? As the sort of movie reviewer / cinematic / like TV reviewer knowledge kind of based kind of person here on the Bleeding Edge. Please tell me what you thought of the intro, whatnot, and everything. it's a very pretty, it's a pretty long, not that long, but pretty long, extensive opening scene that, that essentially sets the premise, right, of the whole episode. And I don't know how far it's going to end up going. So you tell me, what was your take on it?
So the first thing that popped out to me about the intro to the episode was just how beautiful it looked. I thought it looked very crisp, very clean. I liked the CGI look and everything like that they put into it. They put a lot of great detail into the surrounding look and making that planet become so real. And that was my first thing, like him walking through that kind of that like bridge there at the very beginning, and those lights and stuff on that bridge and stuff like that was just so cool. And like the beginning intro with him and kind of him talking to a few people, bumping into those guards and so forth. I thought it was a really good intro. I enjoyed it. I thought that they did a good job. And I thought that it was a really well done kind of intro, kind of getting you an idea into what, basically kind of, what Andor's been kind of up to, prior to what happened in Rogue One. Yes, very Blade Runner-y. Yes, very much so. And but yeah, I felt that it was done well. I enjoyed it. I thought that Diego Luna was really good at the get-go there, starting off, and I thought he did a great job with Andor, even in Rogue One. And so I thought he wouldn't do any less with this actual TV show. And he proved it. I thought that he did a phenomenal job there at the beginning. I like that he's kind of like this like on the run type of character, and he's like hiding out, but still at the same time trying to get things done, and trying to figure out what he wants to do with things. And I think that's kind of where it shows him out at the beginning of this episode, kind of giving you an idea of who a little bit Andor is, but at the same time kind of making you think, okay, what's his true intentions? And I feel that as the season goes on, we'll see there's a lot more to Andor than there is. But I thought it was a really good intro. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I think that it was a really great premise. Like it's nice to see an opening of a series like this where they set a very clear directive, like an overarching sort of like directive in terms of what to expect as being in the audience as far as what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the goal of this? You know what I mean? Like, where is this going? Right? They do that, you know what I mean, very, very well, I think, in this episode. And I guess, again, I really personally never really think much of people who are very critical of like the first episodes of these kind of shows and whatnot. I don't think it really makes any sense. You got to give a TV series a chance. Cyber and I are reviewing the Rings of Power, and I can tell you right now, it was a little boring for me the first couple episodes, but by the time you get to like episode 5 and 6 and shit, it gets really good. You know what I mean? And you start to get excited again. You know what I mean? And like you get reinvested almost and whatnot, because it really does like get better. You know what I mean? So nothing I'm trying to like tell anybody how they need to watch think or watch their TV or whatever. I'm just saying, for me, I don't think it's fair to judge a series based off of an intro, like an episode, first episode. So essentially, coming off that, we do get sort of like, I guess, almost like a stereotypical Star Wars, like more kind of, vibe here when he essentially goes to, to Ferrex, and, and he's talking to his robot or whatever, and no, I apologize, but here, I got his name written down here. I forget it like in my memory. Oh, okay. So yeah, B2EMO. And I don't know if there's like a slang that does he call it? Stacey or Cyber, does he call the robot any kind of name or anything?
I honestly don't remember him having a name at that particular time. I don't recall.
Yeah,
no,
me neither.
No. So either way, essentially they're like buddies. They're having a back and forth. Cassian's home. He's on Ferrex, and they're kind of going back and forth. He's asking, the robot, what's been going on, who's been looking for me, you know what I mean, like, and whatnot and everything. And B2 EMO he's pretty good at, at talking and whatnot and like communicating. He explains exactly what's been going on, who's been over, what they've been talking about, what they've been wanting to know. People are concerned about him. You know what I mean? They're wondering where the hell he's at. He's kind of worried about Cassian. You can tell that, like, he seems kind of the robot almost seems like he has emotions almost in a way. He's kind of weird. But either way, essentially, he's not happy with Cassian about him disappearing, from the Nerlani system, or from Ferrix. This is in the Nerlani system. I apologize. I think this is sort of side important information. This is a free trade sector, Ferrix. And if I understand that correctly, that just means that it's essentially like a free market. I guess maybe like economically, type planet, or industrial, maybe type planet. Either way, essentially, what we end up with, out of the scene, essentially ends up being that Cassian asked him to lie, which I guess takes a lot of power from him. He talks about having to go home to recharge, to do 2 lies, and doesn't again seem very comfortable lying to begin with. I liked this scene. I really did. I thought it was really cute. It was kind of like the only touchy feely moment we really got in the whole episode. The tone's very almost unemotional times. This was kind of like warm in a way because you saw the robot, he's very unhappy that he can't go with Cassian when Cassian leaves and everything. Cassian clearly cares about the robot too. You get that vibe, I think, and basically, it's very quick. It's a very quick scene. From there on, after he kills those guards, Cassian is pretty much moving at quick pace throughout the rest of the whole episode. You never see him really stopping. He's almost constant movement at all times. You can tell that he's I want to get the fuck out of the situation. Obviously, anybody knows anything about, I know enough about Star Wars to know that killing Imperial guards or Imperial anything is not going to be a good move for you. So I don't blame him for being concerned. It's at that point, we go essentially. Oh, and a dog pisses on at one point on BT EMO, which is pretty funny and whatnot and everything. He shocks the dog, all C-3PO esque and shit from the original Star Wars films, with almost the same little weapon, which I thought was cute. But so we also see essentially a ship crash land. I think it's a Republic ship, right in the heart of Ferrix, and there's these tribal kids or whatever the hell they are, which I have no idea what the hell those kids are supposed to be. I don't even know. I guess they're the local tribal, people or whatever. I don't know why they're all children. I have no idea. But they essentially scavenged the ship and whatnot. I didn't really feel like they really fleshed out who the hell those kids are. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I really wasn't sure.
That's Andor and his sister.
Oh, okay. I get it. Oh, is that those are flashbacks?
Those are flashbacks, and what happened to his family. Something happened to the adults, and that's why there's only children left.
I thought those were flashbacks. I did.
Yeah.
I did. But I couldn't tell. At the end of the episode, when we see them again in the woods and everything and whatnot, and they're putting the makeup on and all that whatnot, is that flashbacks too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you told me that. I appreciate that. I do, because I really wasn't sure. I couldn't tell for sure. Either way, from there, essentially, Cassian goes to see Brasso, and Brasso's concerned about it. Everyone seems basically to be concerned about him. He sort of tells Brasso that he needs to come up with a cover story for last night. Which Brasso, him and I have him and Cassian have almost a sort of an interesting dialogue together where Brasso kind of jumps in and is he comes up with the cover story, adds more to it or whatever, to kind of make it asshole-ish in a way, saying that basically he left the mark on Cassian's face and whatnot himself instead of the guards, I think it was. So at that point, before we get into the actual Imperial officers, Serial Carr and Chief Hine and whatnot, discussing these deaths of the guards, Cyber, what did you take out of that section of the episode yourself?
Remind me which section we're talking about, sir.
Everything from Cassian leaving and heading to Ferrix and talking to his buddy robot there, B2, EMO, to up until him Cassie going to see Brasso, like at work or wherever the hell he is,
Okay. I totally was like in love with BT EMO. I thought he was absolutely awesome. As soon as I saw that droid pop up, I was like, "Woohoo, a droid!" Because I absolutely, from the new Star Wars film, I love BT BB-8, and also from Rogue One, I loved the android that was in that. He was absolutely freaking hilarious. And so I was very happy to see an android pop up, pretty quick in this series. And this character I thought was just super funny, and I thought the conversation they had after he wakes up in his hiding place, as he calls it, and he's like talking to the robot and stuff like that, I thought was pretty well done. And yeah, like everyone said, I feel, yeah, he's very coherent how he talks. It's very understandable. It's not very robot sounding. I felt it sounded a lot like somebody was just speaking, kind of. But I thought that the puppetry of this robot was really well done. I don't know how much of it's CGI and how much of it's puppet, but I think it's done really well. And I think that whole sequence is really fun. And then leading up to meeting Brasso, just again visually so beautiful. I mean, everything about this episode, the visuals of the planet, of the the ships, the space, and all that stuff was just so well done. And I just really appreciated the depth they went into to make this look very much like a going to see a Star Wars film in theaters. And that's what I'm getting from this, and I feel that they did a really good job with it. And I felt like I wasn't watching TV. I felt like I was watching a film in theaters. And I just thought it was the interaction when he meets Brasso was really interesting too. There's I feel some lines there that will end up coming to play later on. That they'll go back to that he said and so forth. But overall, I just thought it was a really great sequence of events and really well done.
Definitely, most definitely. Stacy, your thoughts?
I was thinking back to when Cyber said about the bridge, and I was thinking the bridge, when I first saw it, I thought how interesting um this long journey to get to the other side, which was basically stating, you know, I have to find out where my sister is. So I'm going to take this long walk over this bridge in a very dangerous area, no matter what. So I thought that was something that stand out for me. And it also remind me, because I don't know if you guys ever seen it, the bridge in Westworld, if you guys ever watched that one.
I
Yeah, if
remember
you
it.
think
Yep.
back, yeah, if you think back to that bridge, that's what I was thinking
I still got to
about.
go watch
And
Westworld, Stacey. I honestly, I've seen the trailers for it, and whatnot, and everything, and I've seen bits and pieces of it, and whatnot, and it always looked outstanding. I thought it looked great, but I never watched it.
never, okay, but I won't go too much into it. But I just think back to the bridge. When you go see their bridge, it'll make you think back to this bridge. It's just intriguing the way they created it.
I definitely am going to watch it at some point. I think HBO Studios makes the best television series out there. I think they're the best of the best.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I can't wait till the next season starts. But to go back, yeah, this like I'm thinking about, I guess because I'm just so old school with it, and my favorite was always C3PO. Um, and the fact that you had to just get used to the fact that C3PO just beeps and boops and but you kind of like felt him, and you know exactly what he was saying and how his the mannerism. And then you had um who was it? Not C3PO. What was the other droid? I can't remember his name right now. It was
Ah,
C3PO and
what the
um
hell was his name, Cyber?
What?
Who was the other
what was
droid
the
for the original Star Wars films? There was three PO, and who was the other one?
R2D2.
R2D2,
R2D2.
exactly. Exactly. So their interaction together, like, so I feel like they took those two and combined them together and put them into this new droid right now. So that's what I was thinking, because you got the little attitude of C3PO, and then you've got R2D2's, like, just Butler-esque attitude, and that's what you put together, and that's what you got from this new droid. Um, so these are the things that kind of stood out for me, and the interaction with Brazo, I thought I thought it was funny because I was just thinking he was just like, I don't think your lie is substantial. I think mine is going to be better and much more believable. So this is what the story is going to be, and you know, it just kind of rolled off his tongue as this is what we would do. This is what would have happened. He's like, your story was just like you scripted it and you're still in your rough draft stage, so let me help you out. So I thought that was a cool interaction, and it also opens up um a new a new character. Tells a little bit about the type of character he is. And I don't know if I'm jumping too far into it, but I just remember when he did something to the ship when the guy was trying to take off Brazo, and I was like, okay, all right, you could see what type of guy he is. He's really loyal and he's dedicated to so you could see that Andor has a good support system.
Well, I think that they're also trying to flush out and convey very clearly with all of his interactions, Cassian's almost to some extent, that it's not that people dislike him or anything like that and whatnot. They like him, but he's obviously like known for like taking off and disappearing and shit like that and whatnot, and doing kind of like dangerous shit maybe that he maybe shouldn't do, right? Or like stuff that's maybe and again, I'm just kind of, this is just off my head. Maybe gets into stuff he shouldn't get into, kind of. You know what I mean? Like obviously he's a spy, right? Essentially, I mean, isn't that what he ends up? What is he initially? He's like a spy, right? Or like a smuggler.
I would say he's a smuggler. Yeah.
Yeah. So he works in an ethical like type of work, like line of work. Like he's not exactly like above the board.
I would say he's similar to Han.
Yes.
The only.
Go ahead, Stacey.
I was gonna say the only interaction that I didn't quite understand is when he bumped into, I forgot his name, but the black guy, and they looked like they had some sort of beef, and they had to bring in the bigger alien, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead because I did actually watch like 3 seasons, so I might have been smushing it together, but I believe it's in the first season when he's like running around trying to get everything situated, and he bumps into the sky.
You're jumping ahead.
Huh?
You are jumping ahead, and if this was cyber moderating, he would have already kicked you off the show. You'd be gone. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry. Sorry.
I'm not as intense as cyber and whatnot and everything. Critical shit. I'll give you a pass.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that part.
So what's wrong, Cyber? Am I screwing or whatever, or how you usually handle things, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't kick somebody off, but I would point out we haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, no, I wouldn't kick them off.
No, you never would. I know that. I know. I never would either. You know what I'm saying? So,
I for some reason thought that scene was in there. That's why I was
no, it comes up pretty soon. It's, I mean, what you're talking about essentially is after he goes to see Bix, I guess like his ex-love interest or like his old girlfriend or whatever, whatnot, the mechanic.
Yeah.
Talks to her about wanting to sell this like stolen goods he's got or whatever, the untraceable NS9 Star Path deal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
After that, right around a little bit after that, and after the Cyril Khan scenes, you end up, with, basically Cassian owes some money, and so he's being sweated, you know what I'm saying, by one of the, the people that he owes money to. And at that point, that's the muscle, that alien you see or whatever and whatnot, with the black guy. He's like, he's the muscle or whatever and whatnot that's basically trying to muscle him up and whatnot and get the money out of Cassian. But we'll get into that. They don't really that out that heavily and whatnot anyway. I mean, as far as that whole situation. But I think it's important to point out that because this ends up, I believe, being at like almost again a major underlying premise that comes out of this episode that's going to flush out across the span of the series, probably, or almost promote. It'll be a stepping stone to like or like major issue or conflict is going to end up occurring between I guess probably the Imperials and Cassian based off of these murders, which I believe are almost being like the spark that sort of like ignites right into whatever direction it is unfolding. Again, folks, I haven't cheated at all. I've only seen episode 1, so I have no clue where this goes or anything like that. But essentially, after we have the Brasso scene, we have a scene with Deputy Inspector Cyril Carr and Chief Hine discussing the now reported deaths of the guards. Now, essentially, Kyle Solar plays Cyril Karn, a deputy inspector for Preox Mortana Primor Authority, a corporate conglomerate in charge of a trade sector. And essentially, Cam works for Primor Security Services and is determined to capture Cassian Andor, after he's suspected of murdering the 2 Primor security employees. Solar described his character as having an extreme sense of need to impress and fill a hole in himself. And so that really is about ascending to the top of whatever field he's in. The field he's chosen is one of restriction and complete control, and one of domination, which I think is a really good, well said point. I really like that, to be honest with you. I think that's very Imperial-esque, if you think about it in a way, But basically, I mean, I won't really, there's not much to talk about as far as the back and forth goes. The determination ends up being by Hine to just to call the situation like a misadventure or whatever and whatnot, and not to like really like make a big deal out of this. More, I think, of anything, just because there already has been an escalation of like I guess like violence or death, or mentalities or whatever, and at that point, I think almost he doesn't want to almost raise the alarm with the people above him, in like I guess in the Imperial force, and it's actually I think it's basically Cyril Carr on his own that is really like passionate about this issue and doesn't want to sweep this under the rug, and we'll see that play out across the span of the episode. And it's an interesting dynamic that they add that angle and they give us that dichotomy of showing us the actual almost like nitty gritty of what it's like to work for the for the Imperial forces and for the dark side and shit and whatnot at a lower level, at like a corporate level. What he did, I thought it was interesting, the scenes that they showed us with him talking to the other employees and whatnot and all that. Very different than I've ever seen with Star Wars before. When you think about it, they almost shed some like positivity on that serial character in a way. Like they make him to where he's not really that bad in a way. They humanize it. But what did you guys think? What did you think of that scene and the fact that is obviously going to be a big part of the premise, just like the intro scene, right, Stacey? With Cassian killing the guards, this is the automatic like reflection or like like the impact of that event. What was your take on that? On that whole conversation.
I feel like it's a replica of most of the Imperial characters. There's always one of those, like if you go back to Obi-Wan, when it came down to the one what was it, the Jedi, not the Jedi, but the one lady that was determined to get back at Darth Vader. She was pretty driven. So I feel like despite what the captain had said to him about, well, this is really how it played out, they were just being total jerks and they ran into the wrong person, and this is what happened. And he just felt like it was his duty and his honor to uh right what was wrong, the injustice of it all. So it was kind of like this was his way, and I think that it kind of shows the type of character he is. That this was the what season 1 was pretty much about, is just the character description. You have to see how their stories are, who they are as a person. Like for Andor, you pretty much see why Andor is who he is. But this character, you really don't see too much of. It doesn't explain too much of why he's so obsessed with this whole situation. You kind of assume that he's just trying to get on top of everything, but I think it's just the simple fact that he likes this power. He likes to be
Yeah,
able, the captain's away, and he likes to be able to kind of run things, which also goes back to many of these Star Wars characters in the Imperial. You'll find a lot of their characteristics with them, and I think that's probably why they ended up being Imperial guards in the first, a part of the Imperial, because they like that power. It was always all about power when it came down to these particular characters.
yeah, and you know what? He's almost just in a way like he's an opportunist. Like he's
Yeah.
passionate, but it's not because of the deaths of the guards personally or anything like that and whatnot. It's not the emotional toll of the death of these human beings. It's like the guy said about his character. You know what I'm saying? Like he's more concerned about impressing his the people above him and doing a good job at his job and whatnot, and being dedicated and advancing his career and whatnot. And that's something I find interesting about this whole dynamic is the fact that these people, honestly, there's people out there that are like in the lower levels, right, of the Imperial. They're not like in the higher ups and whatnot, right? I mean,
Mhm.
the Empire, the Imperialist Empire is big, it's massive, and of course
Mhm.
it's gonna it's subordinates, and it's it's more extended, entities and employees and whatnot that are, but they're simply kind of, they look at it as a job almost, right? They're not out there like for the cause. You feel me?
Mhm.
They're not down for the cause and shit for like, and all that and whatnot. Like they're kind of just looking at this as like a career. Cyber, do you relate to what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going with that? That like literally like, I think that's an interesting situation where you have these people that are they're with the Imperial Force. They are a part of the, of like essentially the enemy, basically, the Empire. But they look at what they're doing as just a job, essentially. Like they made a
Mhm.
career. You know what I mean? Like they're not actually out there trying to fucking like, go Darth Vader on motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, I definitely think there was plenty of people that were in the Imperial army that definitely weren't all about what like a lot of the higher up Imperial people were, like what the Emperor was out for, Darth Vader was out for. Definitely, I'm sure they just did it because they thought, I'd rather be on this side than be trying to be killed by the other side, basically, kind of deal. Yeah, so I definitely get that from that sequence with the guard and his captain guy there that he's talking to, discussing about finding Andor himself and stuff like that, about the two guards being killed. So yeah, I definitely see that, most definitely.
Yeah. And was there anything, Cyber, for you that you took out of that discussion between because I thought it was actually very interesting. There was a lot to it between the more senior officer, right? And then Karn, Cyril Karn, and like, that back and forth.
My honest opinion of that whole conversation, I would say, is I definitely felt that the guard himself, the one that was kind of explaining to his like lieutenant or whoever he is, uh there was definitely more that he was thinking of, that he wanted to say to his superior officer, but as the superior officer was mentioning things, he kept it secret. He didn't say anything more because I feel like he thought that the upper officer wouldn't agree or not do anything about it. So I definitely feel there's more to him than meets the eye, and that there are other things that he was thinking that he wanted to explain but didn't. And so my whole observation of that whole conversation is I feel there's something behind that guard there, that there's something he's going to do, that he's going to go and do something else that either will get him killed or injured, or he'll go out of the ranks that he's not supposed to and he'll get in trouble, type of deal. That's kind of what I took away from that whole conversation, and how I felt he kept trying to like push the issue too, and the other guard guy, the upper guard, was like, no, leave it alone, there's nothing more to it, etc., etc. And I definitely feel we'll see more out of that guy in the future.
I do too. I think that I think that I'm over here typing on the wrong fucking computer. Isn't that interesting? That's always fun. You know what I mean? Good move, right? That was a very logical move on my part, Cyber. You know, there's nothing like typing on the wrong fucking laptop when you're trying to, you know, type something. Very, very smart. There you go, folks. True professional here. True knowledge, baby. You know. Anyways, bottom line, I think that you're right. I think that Serial Karn, without question, is going to end up being a catalyst throughout the series and whatnot. He has that sort of like you know, they put this kind of shine on him in episode 1 that really kind of reflects that he's going to be like sort of like an antagonist or two on his own. I don't know like how big he's going to end up becoming, but he certainly like you know, has a desire to like, you know, to advance. He does, like, you know what I'm saying, and you know, I think that his dedication is not genuine. If anything, it's more you know, selfish or like you know, or like in a, you know, grandizing way. But we then get Cassian going to see Bix. We get basically, I guess, what you, if you could call, if you want to say it, almost like our only sort of romantic spark or our only flirtation or type of any kind of like, I guess, you know, woman, your girl, guy kind of like, you know, moment.
Relationship.
Yeah, you know, and you know, sort of deal, where we actually sort of humanize Cassian a little bit and whatnot. As Cassian goes to see Bix, who is essentially a mechanic. She's a like a smuggler, you know, like a black market smuggler. And he basically explains to her, you know, that almost in a I guess excited way, like, you know, this is very important. He explains to her that he needs to unload this, you know, these stolen goods that he has. You know, and it is an NS9 Star Path, which again I have no idea what the hell that is. I guess it's for a ship or something, maybe, so that you can actually be able to like, you know, bypass codes or something you need to travel or something, maybe, you know, like across the you know, the Empire or whatnot. You know where I'm going with that, Cyber. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's what they always have going on whenever you get into the smuggling and all that and whatnot and that kind of stuff. It's always has something to do with being able to get past checkpoints and shit like that and whatnot, and you know, all that. But basically, you know, essentially, you know, saying he needs, you know, money, he needs credits, he's got to go lay low. Like, you know, I mean, the Imperial's no joke. He knows that he's got to like bounce and like disappear and whatnot. And I think he also doesn't want to lead anybody to his friends and the people that, you know, he cares about, because I think he does care about them. They have almost like sort of, again, just like every interaction that Cassian has with all of everybody, if you think about it, all the people he talks to throughout the entire episode, even the robot, there's tension. You know what I'm saying? There's like, you know, people are scared for him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they you know, or they're pissed off at him. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they're tired of this shit in a way. Or like he's almost like, you know, kind of like that pain in the ass, you know, in a way, you know. And there is that vibe to every single bit of communication he has with other characters that the ones he even is friends with. There's always some kind of angle of like that with him. And it's the same way with Bix. They kind of have a back and forth that's sort of like testy, and you know, she's a little bit hesitant, I guess, in a way, almost to work with him. But Bix does agree to get with her, you know, her I guess her contact or whatever and whatnot in terms of trying to unload the goods. And from there, we go back to Serial Karn, continuing to dig throughout the episode into the guards' deaths. You know, searching through records with another employee and whatnot and everything, trying to find any kind of evidence and whatnot, anything he can flush out, any info to figure out how these deaths occurred and who's responsible for them. You know, so they just kind of display to you that he's still on the case. Like he's not giving up. He's going like kind of like almost like a lower level and really on his own, kind of low key, I think, kind of just continuing this, furthering this down the road. You know, and choosing himself personally to continue on in this investigation and whatnot, when his own senior officer had already told him to be like, yo, bro, just leave it, let it go. You know, so from there, you know, we end up getting, you know, led to him eventually ending up discovering a strange ship, you know, that essentially leads to a checkpoint, right? You know, and from there, I gotta move on. Sorry about that. I gotta skip a little bit ahead here and figure out where in my notebook I picked up on my outline. Oh, there we are. So from there, we get to where Stacey was talking about earlier, where we find out essentially that Cassian owes a lot of money to multiple people, one of them being Nurchi. Nurchi sends Vetch. Vetch is the alien, I believe, with the African American gentleman that's there to like shake him down and get the money, and whatnot that he owes and whatnot and everything. There is actually some humor to that too. I think I found it kind of humoristic. The alien was funny in a way, and they're back and forth like him and his partner there was kind of funny. Cassie manages to talk his way out of that whole deal essentially, but with that being, I guess, like the line, and we'll draw it there before we move on. Let me go ahead and play the trailer, and then we'll go ahead and I'll just revisit this with both of you and whatnot, and we'll flush this out. Why? I could have swore I had it right in front of me, but I'm telling you, there's all kinds of weird shit going on these days, folks. There it is.
Well, I'll give this little cookie an hour before we're doing the note.
I'm just kidding, Cypher. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding, man. I'm telling you. I figured you'd like that. I wanted to play that for just a second and whatnot and everything, and then to take it, then pop it back off.
Oh.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house.
Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
You're in my net. Are you a fish? Or are you a thief? You're slipping.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like. I'm tired of losing.
Man, I'm telling you, that is one hell of a trailer. Holy shit.
Really good trailer.
I'm telling you, some of the visuals in that thing are freaking unbelievable. I'm like, seriously, just like what Cypher was talking about, about this episode, in the opening and whatnot. That some of the visuals, especially in the beginning of that trailer, that ship, right? And the kids or the people looking up at it and whatnot, the size of it, the scope of it, the way that it like overshadows the whole scene almost and takes over it and like hovers around everything is almost like impactful in a way. You know what I mean? It's like enormous, enormity, whatever, immenseness. Stacey, what did you think of that trailer?
I think that trailer was awesome. You see a little bit of his because you were wondering if he was doing the smuggling, so you could see that he was a spy as well. So I'm really like, that part was like, okay, I wonder how far into it that he did he was a spy for. I would say it was probably the best trailer that I've ever seen, actually, out of all of the Star Wars trailer. I mean, I can't go back so far because back in that era they didn't have as much graphics and stuff as they do now, but that was a really good one. Yeah.
Iber?
It's a very phenomenal trailer. I think that it was really well done. And I think that they did a great job of giving us just enough to really entice us throughout the whole trailer. It gave us a lot of great key sequences. It also gave us really good music, but at the same time, it didn't give us too much. But at the same time, it gave us just enough. I think it just was a really well put together and a very cohesive trailer that you don't see quite often. I mean, there are quite a few trailers over the years that I've seen that some are really good, and then some are just kind of like they put a couple scenes together, and that's it. And this was a really well conceived trailer. I thought they did a really good job and really enticed me to want to see it.
Yeah, I think that in a way, it kind of reminds me of like the level of like the MCU trailers in a way. Like they've taken their game to that level. And it makes you wonder about the interconnectivity, between Marvel Studios, right, and Disney and the Star Wars division and whatnot, right? What they've had, there has to be some interconnectivity, and we already know there is. In terms of we have Kevin Feige helping out with the Star Wars division and whatnot, right? That's been discussed. I'm sure he must have some kind of like role in the background where people at least like ask him questions, and put things by him and whatnot, right? Why wouldn't you? And seeing Stellan Skarsgård in that trailer and the weight, right, and the impression and that actors and actresses like Forrest Whitaker and Stellan Skarsgård bring to the screen, to the deliver to the audience, the realness of them, how genuine they are in their acting. It just really brings things to a different level when you see actors like that of that level, the high of quality. It really like almost adds a legitimacy, right, from jump to the whole series. I think in a way, the fact that those people are involved, that it's very similar to the MCU, where right from jump, Kevin Feige was able to put Anthony Hopkins, and people like that into play, and Stellan Skarsgård right off the bat, right after the first couple of films in Phase 1, when they weren't such a known company or studios at that point. They were not what they are now, right? They weren't like blowing it away and killing it and throwing down shit like Endgame to people and whatnot. At that point, I draw that connection a lot. I do from the trailer, that symmetry. But yeah, great trailer, looks great. And it really just based off what Tex said, that how he or she really enjoyed the series. If you watch that trailer, it makes me think to myself, like, I don't see how I'm not going to enjoy the rest of the series.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, I've seen some trailers where I was like, they just gave you the whole movie right there, then and there in the trailer, and I'm just like, okay, I've seen it. I don't think I want to go see it because it's done. But
No.
no, I'm serious. I just watched it today, and I was like, they just showed the entire movie all in the trailer. Like, where is the surprise? Where is the wonder? Where is it has to leave some sort of curiosity. Kind of sometimes, when you watch a lot of movies, you tend to kind of play it out in your head how it's going to be. And like watching this trailer, you're like, what? Oh, well, why is it doing that? Or, oh, okay, so I've got to find out why he's doing this, so that way, it just keeps you guessing more and more about it, especially since you've already have so many movies and cartoons and animes and stuff about Star Wars. Um, it doesn't like how do you say it? It doesn't like make you want to think, oh, I've already seen these movies, so I probably won't even see it. It's just gonna be like the rest of them. It doesn't come off like that. It actually allows your imagination to kind of run wild, and you still end up wanting to see it.
it's like Cyber said, it's the best Star Wars trailer we've ever had. I think, you know what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
it's literally the best one I've ever seen. And I've seen quite a few of them, and none of them were ever to this level. They never looked this good before, and they never had this heaviness to them, like this level of seriousness that actually is tangible, to where like you have to almost like take it seriously. You can't not. Like I've never seen that from a Star Wars trailer before. I haven't felt it anyway. So good for them. Great job, good trailer. But back to the episode 1, the intro to the series. Cybernetic Shark, my friend, my co-host, what did you think of Cassian's conversation with Vix about him trying to unload these goods that he and trying to make some money and whatnot, and that their dynamic, and then Cyril Karn continuing his investigation, you know what I mean, and continuing to dig and try to find out what the hell happened with the deaths of the guards. And then what Stacy brought up earlier, the quick scene we get where Cassian gets sweated real quick, by the henchmen, essentially, of one of the the people he owes money to.
So that's a lot of different sequences there, and I mean, basically the conversation between Bex, I think, was just kind of like filler sequence, giving us a little bit of that relationship between Andor and him, and kind of what he's dealing with, kind of going back to that as we were talking earlier about how he's kind of like a smuggler, and how he's like kind of like Han a little bit. And I feel that was kind of showing that background of his, of being like a smuggler, and giving you an idea of kind of what he has been doing before he really gets to be a part of, being a rebel alliance and trying to help destroy the Empire. And so their conversation, I think, was pretty basic. I don't think there was anything very special about it. I thought it was pretty basic, but I definitely feel that we'll see more of that down the line, and we'll get more out of that. And we'll see probably more of a Bix down the line as well. And then moving on to the guard's name, I keep forgetting.
Cyril Karn.
Karn.
Yep.
Basically his investigation continuing. That was really great. I thought I liked how they kind of had it, go pretty flow really well. I thought it was interesting, like what he found out and kind of what he decided to do with the information too as well. And I thought it was kind of very similar to the conversation earlier he had with his superior guard. And it was kind of that same thing where you could tell there's something more to Karn than meets the eye. And there's going to be more to it as we go down the line. And I definitely feel that whole sequence was kind of giving you a foreshadowing of what else is to come for his character. And kind of like him he's going to keep like searching and searching until he can actually find, Andor and, solve this case. And then, I'm sorry, what was the scene after that?
The scene, the sort of, I guess maybe you could almost say like, one of the only like, where there's any humor at all, kind of like that they try to like elicit, the scene where, essentially, he gets muscled, Cassian does, by Nurchi's, thugs or whatever and whatnot, represented by like, the big alien guy and and the black guy.
Okay, yeah, that sequence was real fun. I liked the action, that sequence. I thought they did a good job of the fight choreography. And once again, I thought the visuals were really done well in that sequence. The surrounding of the area, the look of the building and inside that they were in, and all that kind of good stuff. I actually don't recall fully, were they in a cantina? I forget where they were exactly. But I do recall it being very visually pleasing and very cool looking. And I thought that whole sequence was really well done. And I thought that like Cassian did a good job of like defending himself and like really getting him out of that pickle that he was in there. And then to go to the flashback, which I thought was interesting that they, right in this first episode, we have flashbacks right away. I thought that was really a kind of a cool idea, but at the same time, usually you wait a little before you put flashbacks in, I feel. But I thought it was cool because it kind of gave us a little bit more sense of who Cassian is and kind of like what he dealt with as a child. Because if I recall from Rogue One, there was a sequence that was like a flashback for him in that too, that kind of refers to when the whole original trilogy is going on, dealing with the Empire and stuff like that before Return of the Jedi happens. And no, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Anyways, but I feel there's a sequence in Rogue One where it like does a flashback like that. But basically, it's dealing with like the first two films, basically, kind of around that time, the things leading up to New Hope happening, basically. And I just remember that whole feeling was really interesting, really well done, and very fun, and a really good flashback. Like I said, given a really good mixture to who Cassian and kind of the people he knew as well. And I have no idea what you just showed us, so I have no clue. But otherwise, I thought all the sequences were really done well.
That was actually one of my private intimacy videos there, Cyber. I just was just a quick teaser for when I put out my movie, my full compilation.
I missed it.
I missed it too. I didn't even see it because I was busy talking.
And I was busy listening.
You didn't see it all that great anyway. It was just my extremely small penis.
Okay.
That's
yeah,
all.
we didn't miss anything then.
You barely even would have noticed it anyway.
That's good.
So anyway, how that ties into Andor episode 1, I don't know. There was no extremely small penises that I noticed in any of the scenes.
I don't know how that ties in either, but
that's right. I'm sure.
Good comedy. Good comedy.
I think there was a lot of big penises in this show.
I think Cassian certainly has a healthy size penis.
Yeah.
He definitely does. It's very obvious. I'd be very surprised if he had an extremely small penis, but you never know, right? It happens. It can happen to anybody. Hey, having an extremely small penis is still puts you in a better spot than having permanent irreversible erectile dysfunction like I've got. Because of fucking Stacey's beloved She-Hulk Disney Plus series. Stacey's hero, fucking She-Hulk.
Not so much my hero, but it's good to kind of look at things in a different perspective.
Well, folks, just so you know, Stacey has decided to take on the challenge of facing me off and whatnot on a She-Hulk season 1 recap type show and whatnot. And I don't know. I'm thinking about bringing Cyber in on this bitch and whatnot and everything. I was going to go 1-on-3 against Renee, her, and Gunner that are on Team She-Hulk, and I'm against it. You know what I'm saying? But I think I might have to bring Cyber too in and whatnot. At that point, y'all are going to get smashed. Just so you know.
Oh, this is backup. Cyber's the backup.
Yeah, bringing Cyber into the fucking game that just changes the whole game.
Okay.
I already would have straight up fucking smashed you anyway 1-on-3. Bringing Cyber in, you're just gonna end up getting like straight destroyed.
That's okay. That's okay. I like a big challenge.
That's God warning you about fucking the impending show with me and Cyber.
God.
That was Jesus Christ himself in digital form. Beep boop boop. He wanted to be Star Wars. He's a big Star Wars fan, just in case you didn't know. So he wanted to connect, his message spiritually to you, Stacey, in a digital way to try to, be a part of the show. That's right, folks. We do actually connect spiritually with Jesus Christ and the Savior during the Bleeding Edge shows. Obviously, we're a very heavenly, faith-based type of show here over the Bleeding Edge, right? Very Christian-like, very church-like, and we like it that way. So, anyways, so Stacey, since you're the one that wanted to talk like 17 minutes before it even happens in the episode, the scene with Cassian and the alien dude and whatnot. What did you think of the convo with Vix to start off with, right? And then from there, what did you think of Karn continuing to like dig and try to figure out who killed the guards? And then you're seeing there, with the whole muscle, the thugs kind of trying to mess with Cassian about trying to get this money.
First of all, with Vix, I feel like there's some underlining situation going on there. I don't want to go too far into go past you, but it kind of explains a lot of why things played out the way it is, like where Vix's heart really kind of lies. Even though things happen the way they happen, but you could see a little bit of her frustration too, dealing with him and his whole mannerism, and there was just something going on. So she has a little bit of animosity towards him and frustration. As for um the guy, he's Karn. I mean, he's just playing a really good part. I think he's just thriving off the energy of the team that he has right now too. He is just seeing things at an incredible level, and it's it's like his penis is growing as he's going through these stages right now. Like he's going through a power stage, and being that his captain is, I guess, out of town, out of state, however, he's off the planet. Um, so he's the one in control. He's allowed to like tell people what to do. So he's got this power to track down Andor and go wherever he needs to go. And by any means necessary, he's gonna do it. So he's that's his journey right now. That's literally his journey. And you can't really hate on the guy for having that much power and just doing so much with it. I mean, you can kind of hate on him because you can like listen, Jackass, like Captain really explained it to you. Basically these two jackasses were being jackasses, and that's why they died. It wasn't that they were upholding the law and somebody did something wrong. They were drinking on the job and they were at a brothel when they shouldn't have been at a brothel. But you took it still take it upon yourself, and you're still driven trying to do it. So we realize at this point in time, it really has nothing to do with justice, just more to do with power. And then as far as you see that they have like some sort of kinship there with the black guy, I don't remember his name, and the big fish looking alien character. You see like there's it's kind of like when you think of Han Solo and what was the other black guy? I forgot his name. In Star Wars.
Oh,
Merriweather.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The guy who was in the Predator the Arnold movie. Shit, what is his name? The actor. Billy.
Carl Weather.
Yes.
Oh no.
No, Carl Weather. Yep. Yep.
No,
Carl
Billy D. Billy D. Williams.
Billy,
No,
yes.
Billy D. Williams.
Yes.
Lando Calrissian.
Yes, thank you. Cyber, did you know the whole time you just wanted us to just like
No, I was kind of like half like knowing what you were talking about, and at the same time, I'm like, wait a second, is she referring to Andor or some other Star Wars movie for a second there? So I had to think about it for a second, but yeah, no, I found out, I thought about it after you guys started talking about Predator. I'm like, wait a second, nobody from Predator is in Star Wars. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but you know how Han Solo and Lando had that relationship kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. That's the interaction I was getting from both of them.
Thank you, Tax. We appreciate you.
Just took us a minute.
Look at these amazing, wonderful, friends and people we have in the audience and whatnot in the comment section, and how helpful they are.
Yeah, they know it's too late for me, and I have a brain fart. So thank you for saving me on that one. But yeah, that was pretty much the relationship I got from that situation, and he just kind of walked away from it like, you guys aren't gonna do nothing. What do you think you guys are gonna do right now? I got things to do. Get out of my way. That was pretty the interaction I got from that situation.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, really, when it boils down to it, the only part of the episode that did nothing for me at all, I really, just me personally, it did not express whatever connection was meant by it or whatever, whatnot, was the flashback scenes. They didn't really move me at all. Like, I really didn't even, I get that, like, obviously, like, I understand as flashbacks that they're somehow going to convey some kind of message having to do probably with whatever it is, in Andor, whatever goodness is in him and whatnot, that helps, him sort of like morph from spy to like rebel, right? Like from smuggler to like, revolutionary.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that's what those flashbacks are supposed to be about to some extent, right? Am I right, Cyber?
Yes.
Yes. And all I'm saying is that they just, to me, compared to the rest of the episode, they didn't blow me away or really impress me. I'm not saying that they were bad or good or anything like that. They didn't really convey anything to me that I found deep or like connected to really at any point. It almost kind of, I didn't know what was going on to some extent.
I think it was basically just there to just tell a little bits and piece of who he is. You just gotta get like a little. There's always got to be like a little backstory, like a little 10, 20 minutes of who he was a child and why he is the way he is now, and that's it.
Well, they want to humanize him too,
Epic.
right? Yeah, because I mean, he starts off the episode by killing 2 people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter whether they were Imperial guards or not. He killed them. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, killing people is still unethical, right? Like in all honesty, he didn't have to kill them. It wasn't necessary. So, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
He probably felt like
he had to kill the first one. He had to kill the last one, but he didn't have to kill the first one. He didn't mean to do that on purpose. So I'm just saying at that point, I think that there, at that point you do want to like, at least, make him kind of, bounce off that and kind of go in a different direction. But either way, we again visit with Serial, continuing his, his sort of personal almost investigation into the guards' deaths. And we end up essentially having a scene that I was referring to earlier where, he ends up, ordering a bulletin to be put out, essentially looking for a Canary, human male that's going to be wanted for investigation based off of this incident. And what I found really interesting about it was the back and forth between the other employees and him, and sort of like the complacentness about them and whatnot, or almost like laziness, or sort of like, like mannerisms that they had, their attitudes towards like the whole situation were sort of dispassionate in a way, like, like, oh well, we don't even really fuck with this planet, you know what I mean, like, or whatever, like, this is kind of a waste of our time. Yet he's like, hey, do your jobs, you know what I'm saying, like, let's get on this or whatever. I just found the back and forth interesting. The dialogues between them and whatnot. I felt like it was, again, something different for Star Wars in a small way, maybe. But again, that's just my take. And you guys can tell me if you have a different opinion. Based off of that, going off the whole bulletin thing, we end up eventually, with Cassian, like basically in his last sort of conversation or contact with another one of, I guess, probably his old friends or acquaintances or people he works with or whatever. He has a conversation with Pegla, where they're talking and everything and whatnot, and essentially he's, I think, modifying his ship, Stacy Cyber, that he's modifying or whatever and whatnot when he's talking to Pegla. Is that his ship?
I think
Pegla's
that's
was pissed off at the end and was like, look, don't even come back if you're going to be doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to see you again.
I don't think that was Andor's ship though.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I think he was hiding stuff on it.
Yes. Either way, he was doing something he shouldn't have been doing. Of something not, I guess, legal. And Pegla, who they didn't really flush out that much or tell us anything really about him, basically kind of just was an asshole to him and was like, hey, look, like I'm tired of this crap with you. Like, what I mean? Like, you need to not even come back, or show up or whatever, whatnot. And, regarding whatever his actions were with this ship. We then end up essentially going to, again, like the flashbacks again to like, I guess the tribal kids, which again, I guess are, Cassian and his sister, in the forest, right? Hanging out in the forest or whatever, doing their shit, whatever they do out there, I can't really tell you what they were doing. Whatever it was, I'm sure it was great. But that was basically the end of the episode. To square things off. At that point, ladies first, Stacy, what's your take on that? I guess almost like I guess you could say last quarter of the intro episode of Andor, the Cyril, well, excuse me. Vix also has that scene where she goes essentially and on her own goes, I guess, and communicates maybe to her contact or whatever she was doing when she went into that tunnel.
Yeah.
Right? Again,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lie to you. I wasn't completely sure exactly what she was doing, but it appeared to me that she was basically trying to like almost like hide and secretly communicate to someone who I'm assuming
Yeah.
is her contact, having to do with selling those goods for Andor.
Right.
And again, feel free to correct me if you got a different just from that or whatever. But along with the Vic scene, Cyril asking for that Bolton to be put out. Continuing his investigation, and then that flashback scene, again with the tribal kids, and then Cassian and the Pegla sort of conversation there towards the end. What did you take out of that? Was there anything that stood out to you? Was there anything that I outlined or whatever, or said that you're in conflict with, or I was wrong?
I think when you go back to the flashback, despite the fact that they were speaking a whole, Canary language, and it didn't really explain a lot to you. You kind of could figure it out if you're sitting there watching people kind of speak a language and you watch their mannerism and stuff. It was basically his first experience inside an Imperial ship and learning the ins and outs of it and how to get what you wanted to get from it. So from that, he gained the knowledge of being probably the best thief that he could possibly be when it comes to the Imperial ship. Because if you notice in the pilot or the trailer that we just watched when they were talking about when he was discussing, being in their own world and being able to sneak onto their ship and getting what they want and being in the house, that was an introduction to his skills, like what he's good at, and it explains why he was standing in a ship and why Bix was in there, because I think if you were to try to sell things off of the Imperial ship, there's spies out there for the Imperial that would actually catch on to it, and they would be like, oh, who is this? Who? That's why she's there. That's why she secretly have all these people, because the Imperial is really on top of everything that these commoner people do. They want to know exactly everything that they're doing, why they're doing it, who they're selling it to. That's why you see when Pinar was like asking about certain areas, and they were just like, we don't go that far, and they were just like, you just like go farther. So they have the ability and the technology to do all the things that they could to find anybody. They have spies, like I said, everywhere, and look how quick it was for them to find Andor. You know, it shouldn't be that easy. It's not like their technology is similar to ours, but it was, so to speak. And what was the last one you asked me about?
The scene where Vix sort of like goes to that I want to say yes, where she sort of like goes secretively to like almost I guess communicate with what I'm assuming had to be her contact, I guess to try to unload from Andor.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of explains itself. It is how people do the whole, you got to remember that there's still a rebellion going on, and as much information as they could possibly get, and any pieces of the Imperial that they can get, you sell it to other people, and you can make a lot of you could either make a lot of money off of it, or you could help out to figure out what's going on in order to take down the Imperial. So I think that's her contribution to the rebellion, is by still connecting to those people that need to smuggle some of the stuff. So that was my understanding of why she had to go where she had to go secretly in order to communicate with that person.
Okay. Cyber Night Shark, your thoughts, sir, on those scenes?
Could you please refresh my memory again, please?
The scene where essentially Cyril continues his investigation, and he has that dialogue with his fellow employees about putting out that bulletin for the the human male to be investigated in the Canary system. And then Vic's doing that whole secret agent, communication deal and whatnot in that tunnel or tower, wherever that was. And then that final flashback scene, before we kind of conclude the episode.
Okay, let's see. So, I mean, that first sequence with the bulletin, I didn't find anything great about it. I thought it was okay. I felt like it was a repeat again of the two prior scenes that we had already seen, and I didn't feel like it was super necessary for the sequence in the episode, but I thought it wasn't bad. I thought that it helped the episode flow a little bit. And overall, I thought it was an okay sequence. I didn't find anything great about it or anything that really popped out to me in the sequence. But overall, I thought it was okay, and it helped, extend the episode. And then moving on from that to the God, I already forgot what you said. The ship, the crash ship, or it's the
the flashback with the the sister and whatnot.
Yeah, so and then the flashback was, I thought, really cool again. I thought it was interesting. We had two flashbacks in this episode. And I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of giving you a little bit more information about who, Andor's sister is, kind of their relationship a little bit, and kind of where they left it off at that point, at that age that they were. Because they really, they kind of referenced earlier in the episode that, he needs to fix things with his sister, but at the same time, we're not sure if that he has to fix it since this point of the flashback, or if something else happened recently. So we don't have a lot of information. So I feel that that flashback sequence was interesting, but at the same time, I don't feel it was fully realized or really enveloped or full 360'd in this episode to kind of give you more information to make it more pertinent to the episode. But overall, I thought it was really well done. Once again, the landscaping, the look of those flashback sequences were really done well because of the scenery of being in the jungle and all that kind of cool stuff was really well done. I can't emphasize enough that this series seems to have really good cinematography and great CGI and special effects because it looks so crisp and clear. And I thought that it was a great way to end the episode with that great kind of visual to get you enticed for the next episode.
Definitely, most definitely. I think so too. I'm actually right now watching us on Twitter Live, which they still call Periscope, believe it or not, which I don't understand why, because I thought that they got rid of Periscope. I did. But there it is. They have it listed as on Periscope right now. So there you go, folks. Little gem of information there. Periscope is still alive. It's not gone, apparently. You just can't find the app anymore. It's gone. The bleeding edges. We're old enough now to where we were on Periscope when it was an active thing, and there was a live Periscope. So either way, I'm watching us right now on what I call Twitter Live. And whatnot and everything. And shout out to all of you, the few of you that do catch us on Twitter Live. We don't get much of an audience on there really and whatnot, which I understand, to be honest with you. I don't think people go on Twitter to watch live stream shows and whatnot for the most part, but either way, I'll tell you right now that I'd like to go ahead and just kind of wrap up with, I guess, maybe a just some final thoughts on the episode overall. And then at the same time, any sort of, I guess, expectations. And with you, Stacey, you can kind of like sort of like half-ass this one, or like, get interesting, I guess, in terms of what you're expecting with episode 2, maybe. Cyber, did you already see episode 2?
I have not.
Okay, I haven't either. So basically, starting with you then, Cyber, since you haven't seen it yet and I haven't seen it, what do you think, Cyber? What would your grade be for episode 1, 1 to 10? And then final thoughts on the episode itself, and then if you have any thoughts on where we might head with episode 2.
All right. So for a total, or for a score for this episode, I give it a solid 9.5. I thought it was a fantastic episode, really well done, and overall just really good. My thoughts on the episode, pretty much that. I mean, I think that it was really well done. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough how amazing, beautiful this episode series looks so far, and how well the CGI, special effects, the scenery, the cinematography are done so well. And I think overall, it just was a really good first episode, a great introduction. It kept me enticed, kept me wanting to watch more. And I feel that it has a lot of great potential. Going into episode 2, I definitely foresee us seeing that guard again, Karu, again, and him doing more investigation. I feel we'll see more about that ship that we saw at the very end. We probably will get more flashbacks, I foresee. And overall, it's just going to be interesting to see what ends up happening in episode 2, and just, how it, progresses this, this storytelling, and giving us more of those great visuals as well.
Excellent. Stacey, now you saw episode 2 already, but what were your final thoughts on the finale, or excuse me, on the intro of the series overall, if you have any? And then I guess maybe, I don't want to say, fake your thoughts on where things might go in episode 2 since you've already seen it. But give us your rating also, for the episode, please.
Obviously I'm gonna give it a 10. You know why? Because it was a great introduction to it, kind of left out bits and pieces. So for everyone, it was kind of like, or for me, it was kind of like, yeah, I want to see what happens more. And that explains why I ended up rolling into episode 2, because episode 1 actually left you wanting to go to episode 2. So that was the whole reason why I ended up there. But I give it a 10, and I think it's it's a really good show for what I've seen, if I only stopped at episode 1.
Okay, and your 1 through 10 rating?
10.
Oh, that's right. You gave us a 10. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to add some clarity and make sure we were giving us a 10 on this one.
Definitely a 10, because I ended up going to 2 because I was intrigued. I wanted to see what was happening with the serial Karn, because I felt like his character was changing a little bit. If you notice, there was a bit of change in his character. There's like, when you see towards the end, everybody's character is in, the emotions are being imploded. Things are going on with these characters. They're experiencing a major change. So you want to always see, and this is why some people end up binging shows. They just want to see exactly what's going to happen next, because now something's already happening to them.
There you go. Most definitely. And I myself will give it an 8, maybe an 8.25 at best. I did not, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I'm very happy and glad that you and Cyber gave you your ratings that you did. I'm really glad that you guys felt that the episode was a 10 and a 9.5. I think that's amazing. I'm glad that Texas enjoyed the series all the way so far. That's great to hear. It's nice to hear some positivity. You know, it really is. You know, if a TV show is garbage, it's garbage, right? But like, if you know, at the end of the day, I think people are getting a little bit too friggin' critical sometimes with some of these TV series. Like, come on, man, this shit is not like Life and Death. It's TV, right? So, you know, bottom line, I'll give it an 8.25. I don't want to overdo it with my rating because we're going to have another 9 or 10 episodes to review or whatever and whatnot, and I want to save my 10s for later when we get Stellan Skarsgård to this bitch. You know what I'm saying? He adds a little bit of an impact usually when he pops into into shit. So, yeah, I'll give it an 8.25. And as I said in the graphic here, I'm going to give a 3.5 to the tooth job I experienced recently. And I'm only going to give it the 3.5 just for style points. Just because it's pretty rare that you have experienced a tooth job with a woman. So I'll give her credit just for doing some interesting shit, right? Even if it was weird as fuck and like painful and whatnot, and not something I want to have happen again. It was definitely unique. But I would not advise anyone out there, any of you ladies out there in our audience that we love, to yourself try the tooth job on any gentleman because it is not positive, right? Unless he deserves it. You know what I mean? So, all right, Stacey, no tooth jobs in the future.
I'm celibate.
Oh, well, hey, you could be celibate and still give a tooth job.
No, celibate's all the way.
Well, you know what? I'm sure I'm going to become celibate too. All right, and just as a tribute to you, I'll become celibate.
We'll see.
All
For
right.
36 hours.
That's tough.
36 hours.
I don't know if I can do.
All I'm giving you. That's all I'm giving you is 36 hours.
I can do 36 hours. Yeah, I can do it.
If you can be black for 36 hours, you can be celibate for 36 hours.
I'm actually thinking about maybe for the when we do the review of the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, I'm actually going to dress up as Santa Claus, and I'm going to have a baby leg sticking out of my underwear, like out of my costume, like the chick in the video, the baby leg bitch. I'm going to have the baby leg with a Santa Claus outfit.
I think we lost Cyber. Cyber's out.
Hey, baby, I want to be hip. I want to be hip with. I want to go with the baby leg.
Cyber,
baby leg, really? Baby leg. Baby leg.
Where do you find these videos?
Baby leg, I got shit like.
There it is, folks.
There it is.
There's the baby leg.
Hot D.
There you go.
Why does it have to be? Why does it have to be a white baby leg too?
I know. You know what? I'm telling you. I mean, seriously. Maybe she was trying to be inclusive. So
she's trying to what?
She was trying to be inclusivity for inclusivity purposes.
Oh yeah.
She went with the Caucasian baby leg, right?
Right.
There you go.
Don't discriminate.
There you go. You gotta be careful with your baby leg use when it comes to color, right? You could offend someone. You know what I mean? We're a very we're a very critical culture and society these days on these things. So you gotta be very clear and very intelligent about and respectful about how you handle your baby leg shit. All right. Anyways, the whole baby leg thing. I don't think it's a fad that's gonna catch on. I'll be honest with you. I would not invest into it or anything. But either way, if you'd like to go ahead and plug guys and whatnot and everything, starting with you, Stacey, and then going to you, Cyber, and whatnot, real quick, have at it. I real quick am going to go answer the door because I think that Santa Claus is here.
Okay. Well,
Santa Claus.
Yeah. Is that code for something? Did I miss that?
You heard me talking about the baby leg thing and everything, and he was like, "No, I'm not down with that."
I have no idea what Santa Claus would be there for. I think he'd be afraid. But anyways, go ahead, Stacey.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on the show. I just wanted you guys to all be aware that some real shit podcast is actually going on YouTube. Just working out the kinks, and we're still on our regular Spotify and any other platform that you can reach us. And yeah, upcoming, probably around January, probably launch that. So thank you guys for listening to me and during my tired moments. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, you're always great, Stacy. Whether you're tired or awake or super awake or whatever, we love you to death either way. Your version of Stacy is good enough for us.
You did a
We're
good
happy.
job.
Alright.
You did a good job.
You did a good job. You did.
Good job.
You're a good guest. Cybernet Shark, my friend. What is going on these days with your sort of almost empire-esque yourself individual content that is always just spreading?
Well, my empire is still growing because of all you great people out there that come by and watch. But yeah, if you haven't had a chance to, you enjoy me here on the MC's Lineage, definitely check out my solo content under Cybernetic Shark. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Rizzle, everywhere you could think of that's a platform of some sort. I'm on there. And I've recently been trying to do Halloween shorts for my short segments on my channel. So if you like Halloween themed films, horror films, stuff like that, I've been doing a lot of those. Watching a lot of those this month. Every year we do, every day we watch a couple Halloween films. That's what we do here. And so I try to review them every year, or ones that I haven't. This is the first year I'm doing that. So get used to that. So that'll become more of a common thing during October. But yeah, just trying to put out stuff. My Black Adam solo review will be up soon. And then more content will be coming and all that kind of good stuff. But I just recently dropped my review of the Apple TV film Luck that came out back in August. Simon Pegg does a voice in it. It was actually a really good film, so definitely check that out. And yeah, check that out. Check out my Patreon page too as well. And anybody that subscribes, I thank you.
And yes, folks, we over at the MCU's Bleeding Edge, we basically, due to me having experience in the hurricane down here in Southwest Florida and the effects of that, the impact of that on my ability to do some of the shows and whatnot, and my stuff working, my Wi-Fi and whatnot, it's been kind of a problem. But I'm getting it rectified finally. But it did throw our schedule off a little bit. At that point, I know for a fact that we are doing the House of the Dragon episode 8 review this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Cybernetic Shark, I do not know for sure if work and wife and family and duty will avail him to join us and whatnot. He may be there, may not. We'll, of course, be happy if he makes it. The series is getting great. It's been great the whole time. It's only getting better. And we've got 3 more reviews of it. So 3 more Sundays, and we'll be done with it. We'll be all wrapped up with the House of the Dragon. Cyber and I are continuing and have re-engaged ourselves into the Rings of Power. We went ahead and did our episode 5 review on Wednesday evening. It's already on the YouTube channel. Thank you to all of you who have gone ahead and already watched it. We appreciate you. Thanks to everybody that got us to 4,000 subs. Well over 4,000 subs recently. I just noticed it the other day that we already crossed that mark when I was literally asking people to do it and help us get there the night before. I think it was with Cyber on a show. I was like, hey, help us get to 4,000 subs. Well, we already had crossed it. So there you go, folks. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you for everybody for supporting us. Never would have thought in my life we'd ever hit 4,000 subs. So, I guess the sky's the limit at that point, right? When they say that hitting that first 1,000 is a bitch, but then after things get easier, that is the one piece of advice that people gave me about YouTube that has turned out to flush out, be completely real. It is not a joke. That is how things are at the end of the day, I think, with YouTube. At least if you're as untalented as I am, right? Since Cyber just carries us at the end of the day, I'm just here. I'm a body. But no, I'm just here for my looks. Am I right, Stacey? Stacey, did you fall asleep? Oh, okay,
Nope,
thank you.
I'm awake.
Thank you, Stacey.
Yes, you are here for your look.
Thank you. I appreciate you validating my attractiveness. Thank you. You've definitely boosted my self-esteem.
That's what I'm here for.
I appreciate it. You're a big help. Anyways, folks, yes, thank you for the 4,000 sub mark. That's huge for us. We're really happy about it. Thank you to Cybernetic Shark, my co-host, for doing an excellent job on the panel with me tonight. Look, you will on the episode 2 Andor review, moderating it. And we are gonna do Black Adam. We're gonna review it. I am not able to, at this point, privately talk to Cyber myself to flush out what is that night we're going to do it on, but we're going to do it. And as soon as we put together a team, for the show that's, of the quality we want to present to you for the review, we will have it, we'll have it ready to rock and roll, and we'll do it. I know for a fact that Cyber and I both enjoyed the hell out of Black Adam. Cyber, you saw Black Adam more than once, right?
Twice.
There you go. I only saw it one time, and I'm thinking about going again. I am. I want to see it one more time, I think. It was that good. What people can say what they want. I'm not going to do any spoilers with that, whatnot, and everything. I know there's been some people that have been critical of it. I think it was entertaining, at the very least. So that's all I'm going to say. It was not bad. Certainly not a bad film to watch. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, I would go spend the money, and I would go watch it in the theater. It's definitely worth it. Either way, I want to thank the baby leg chick, as always, for inspiring me every day of my life, be my hero, with the whole baby leg deal. It's really been a big positive for me, a big impact on me, the whole baby leg deal. I can't wait to start wearing a baby leg myself as a part of like my deal. Right. Either way, it was really great to do this review. We're loving Andor so far. I think we're going to keep on loving it. And we will see you on the next show. Take care. God bless you. And be good. Don't be celibate. It's not positive.
Except for me.
I've heard it's not positive.
Said, excuse me, but you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop up, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid that you dumb or what? You better go get